I gotta change my brain over because this is not normal. Oh, it hates that. If I was just being sporty on the street, this would be the tempo of my feet.
Casey, you're dumb. You slipped your clutch too much. You're stupid.
There is such a thing as not being a freak. I hope you guys like this video because I think I just trashed my clutch. Let's see if there'll be a Mopar guy and stop. Nope, you're not a Mopar guy. You're just a schmuck in a Dodge Challenger. What's up, people? I got too many cameras in here. The foot cam. It's like pinched and like duct taped in here. So yeah, here we go. Anyway, today I wanted to go over different clutching techniques. Just normal clutching, which is single clutching. What is double clutching and why? Showing you guys that with a foot cam. Also showing the differences with some launches and slower speed driving stuff that I see a bunch of young people out there all over the world are finding helpful. Obviously, the snarky comments are fun from the Europeans that think you're all better at driving stick than Americans. That's cool. More of you do drive. But hopefully we find something today that you'll all enjoy. And here we go. Let's give it a try. Okay. It's kind of a crazy day. Like today, I brought my camera out from inside where it was cooler and then the lens fogged. So if it's a little off, I apologize. And it's actually like hot as balls out here. And to have good audio, I've got to turn off the ventilation and shut the windows. So yeah, I'm going to be sweating like we're in a race car because that's kind of like what it's like. All right. So you can see my feet. What up? Let's go drive. All right, so we are in the 97 Dodge Viper, which is saying, screw you, I know what you're gonna do, horrible things to me today. I refuse. All right, let's go. So single clutching, double clutching, why, when, and how. And then afterward, let's show some differences with launching and just the nature of taking off, whether you're taking off very slowly, gingerly, you're moving around at slow speeds, and you're even moving. Let me talk to somebody real quick here. This is the hamster, he's coming in to do a model. Hey guys, I gotta record a video. Everything's there if G wants to get started on the model and he can plug the heater in and whatnot, and the guys know. So just go ahead and get started. Cool, see ya. That's the hamster's dad. He's doing a 1/10 scale studio clay model. I think it's pretty cool. Okay guys, so we're just taking off gently. Now the thing about the Viper is it's got a lot of torque. So some of these things when we're clutching coming up from a standstill, if you don't have the torque and massive power as this thing, you're probably gonna need to use more gas. That's just about it. Anyway, right now I am just single clutching the upshifts. That's where you push the clutch in one time, you move it from the gear you're in to the next higher gear as you're just upshifting. It is no big deal. This is a modern synchro mesh transmission. The little synchro bands, as I've spoken about in some of the earlier videos, those are there so that when you change gears, the gears that are coming together like this, the dogs, and they're spinning at different rates, they come together and the synchro bands synchronize the spinning. So if one's spinning too fast, it sort of slows down and the other one speeds up and then they can fit in place. So that's how a synchro mesh transmission generally works. Tractors, motorcycles, semi-trailers might have a straight cut gearbox without synchros, and that's why you can float them in without the clutch, but that's not what we're going for today. So anyway, I'm gonna turn off on this road because it's less populated and I don't want people to think I'm a total freak driving here. Now I just kind of skipped the gear, went from 5th to 3rd and then down to 2nd just because I'm not trying to be all sporty. All right, so here we are. I'm going to accelerate through the first 5 gears, just kind of briskly but not crazy, just taking off. Okay, I'm off the clutch, accelerating. Just gonna switch gears, kind of middle power band, about 3,000, 3,500 RPMs. This is kind of the speed I go on a normal daily basis, just picking it up. You know, and now I'm up to, you know, reasonable moving speed. Just easy does it, in and out on the clutch. Don't have to do anything crazy. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna downshift with single clutches. Blipping the throttle, you can see a toe heel, but this is just single clutches. My foot wanted to go because I'm getting myself too accustomed to double clutching. But you can see this is single clutching the downshifts right there. So now I'm gonna take off a little more briskly, a little more like race speed, but without being a total freak, so you can see the speed of the single clutch upshifts. Here we go. So it's closer to the traction limit, but not that far. So if I was just being sporty on the street, this would be the tempo of my feet. Now they'd move faster if I was racing, naturally on a closed circuit course. But for just sporting about on the street, that's sort of my tempo. Now here's the single clutch downshifts which I'm exacerbating the tempo just so you can see it. And quite frankly, I'm so accustomed to double clutching the downshifts that I'm sort of having to do it deliberately. And maybe this truck can go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and accelerate in a moment. There's a truck, he's like, what are you doing? Okay, so I'm gonna go a little more race speed on my shifts, but obviously keeping my actual speeds to a reasonable amount. And I'm gonna take off more briskly, but we'll do launches in a minute. So this is like gentle race speed. You know, even when you're road racing, there is such a thing as not being a freak. Like, you may only be road racing at like 98% most of the time because there's enough of a safety margin. If you're out there for a long period of time, you're maintaining position really well, and then you've got that last 2% to really go for it. So that was kind of a faster shifting speed. You know, if you're in a vintage race, you're maintaining position, and that's that. But if you're gaining on somebody, maybe you speed up your tempo. Maybe you go that last little extra 2% to really start hanging it out there and just rocking on the razor edge. And that goes for everything. Shifting, braking, accelerating, everything. But, you know, in doing that, depending on how hot it is, you might start overheating your tires and things like that. So it's just the nature of the tempo of shifting that I think is important. So now let's do something different. This is not necessary in the Viper, but for instance, in the old Morgan that was donated to Genius Garage, if the synchros are slow or it's an old gearbox like that old Moss box, we might double clutch the upshifts. And the purpose of that is I'm going to let the clutch out in neutral, then push it back in to stick it in the next higher gear, and then let it out to go. So that's what it's double clutching. You push the clutch in and release it once to take it out of gear, push it in, and then release it after you put it into gear, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna double clutch the upshifts, just show you what that looks like. Now I gotta change my brain over because this is not normal. So here we go, we're gonna double clutch the upshifts. And you see just double clutching it like this. Now if you do it right, the purpose of that is so the synchros don't have to work very hard. And what I'm immediately noticing is, even though this is a modern box, by doing that, the gear is going into the next upper gear so much easier. The reason being is the synchros don't have to do almost any work. Zero work if I do it perfectly, but let's be honest, that's really hard to do, okay? So those were double clutching the upshifts. Now I'm gonna double clutch the downshifts. There's 6th to 5th. There's a 5th down to 4th. I'm not braking yet because I'm not going super fast. I'll start braking and I'm double clutching, toe heel downshifting, 4th to 3rd, now 3rd to 2nd, and even double clutching all the way down to 1st. And there's that. And that's basically how that works. You can speed up or slow down the tempo. And I'll use those different techniques depending on the gearbox I'm using. Is it a modern car? Is it an old car? Is it a newer car that the synchros were worn out by an idiot trying to impress girls in his cheap Porsche at a bar? Basically everybody who owned Porsche 944s in the 90s and 2000s. You suck! But these are good techniques to learn, and there's not really anywhere you can really talk about it and learn it. So I hope that made sense to you guys. I'll get into more things like left foot braking and all kinds of crazy stuff a little bit more in the future, especially if we get to a road race track. But we're out in the middle of nowhere, and there's one car coming up on me, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull out of the way. And we'll do some launches so I can kind of just show you that, taking away from a standstill with the clutch. This is for younger people to learn some stuff. So first things first, I'm gonna take away without using the gas pedal. The Viper, big engine, a lot of torque, and if I'm very gentle, I won't stall it. There's enough torque to get going. See, I am now creeping. But the truth be told, if I wanted to take off anywhere, like under normal driving, I always give it a little gas. So right now it's idling like 750 maybe. I'm at maybe 1200 RPMs in the Viper and just letting it out to be gentle. Super gentle, like I'm in a parking lot, not trying to draw any attention to myself, not trying to do anything interesting. If I'm at a stoplight or a stop sign, I want to pull off just in normal traffic, I'll bring it maybe up just to 1200 RPMs, a little bit more gas, and I'm off. So it's a factor of, you need a little bit of RPM so you have the kinetic energy spinning, or effectively the horsepower, right? And I got a Dodge Challenger behind me. Go around, dude. Pretend it's a racetrack. Yeah, I'm good. We're good. Let's see if there'll be a Mopar guy and stop. Nope, you're not a Mopar guy. You're just a schmuck in a Dodge Challenger. Okay, anyway. So if I'm gonna take off quicker, but I don't wanna spin the tires. So this is like, I gotta go somewhere, but I'm not trying to be sporty. So little gas and then I'm off, right? You kind of dump it. And that was a little bit more of a clutch dump. I let it out a little quickly, so there's a slight bog, but not enough to really matter. That was just going without thinking about it much. So now let's do a takeoff where I'm at the limit of the traction, basically in first, without spinning the tires. Say this is more of a little bit more of like a, hey, let's go at this moment. Like it's gonna be a green light, or I'm at a stop sign, and there's traffic coming and I gotta go. Just basic stuff, right? So I might bring the RPMs up on this one to say 1700 RPMs, more in a car with less torque. And then I let the clutch out, and right now, there's where it starts to engage. See how the car's creeping? I don't know if you can see that, but I'm creeping. So I've got the clutch out to right before it engages, and I got the RPMs up, and then roll into the throttle first, and then out on the clutch. And that's a quicker takeaway, okay? So when you're working the clutch pedal, there's the dead spot at the bottom. You push all the way down to the floor, but there's an amount of travel from the floor, which is here, up. You're gonna, oh, I'm in neutral. Yeah, I'm real smart, aren't I? Okay, here we go. On the floor, and it would go up, and it starts engaging. A minute ago, I thought my clutch was fried when I did that. So this amount of area does nothing. That's an inefficient space. So if we were racing, I would put a pedal stop in. So that's where the clutch is not quite disengaged. That's where it's starting to grab. I would put a pedal stop in right here, because all this extra travel right in here does nothing for efficiency. But it's nice on the street. You can kind of lock your leg in. It's easier when in traffic. You don't do that on the street. You just do that in racing. I just wanted to show you. But when you're about to, let's say you go to a drag strip or an autocross, or you just need to take away quickly from a stop sign, you want to get to a point where it's about ready to engage, and see how I'm kind of feeling it? I'm sort of dancing where the clutch engages to get it right. And I'm dancing my feet, kind of a technique to get the RPMs up, and then you can go, right? And that was sort of just dumping the clutch without spinning the tires. That wouldn't be what I do in a drag race or an autocross. Of course, road racing, in America, we do it from a rolling start, so it doesn't really matter. But that was just kind of a quick takeaway from the street. But if I want to power slide, drift, I'm going to break it loose, or I'm doing a drag race launch, your tires are going to make the most traction when they're slightly grinding, if that makes sense. There's a point where the tires have full mechanical grip, and there's a point where the wheels start to rotate slightly faster than your ground speed, if that makes sense. And that's where it's grinding, and they kind of grab best right there. So when I do a launch and I'm trying to feel, I want my maximum acceleration, I want those tires to just slightly be spinning the whole way, right at the edge of traction, slightly too much. And then if you use too much throttle and you blow the tires off, you lose traction. But if you don't know where the edge is, where you're slightly spinning the tires, you're probably leaving some on the table. So when this car goes by, not to freak them out, I'm gonna go ahead and launch it. This is a tar and chip road. It's got fairly good traction. It'll bite pretty good, but it'll spin, and I hope I don't get wheel spin. So I'm gonna try to just spin the tires a little bit and have a good launch in first and then second. Okay, so I'm gonna use more RPMs kind of here. Now see, a lot of traction. That was a lot more traction than I expected. So I brought it up to like 2,500 RPMs, which for a Viper is a fair amount of RPMs. And I just didn't get it off enough. Partially because this camera isn't held on very well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get the tires spinning. Wow, no, it blew them off. Okay, that's concerning. That's very concerning. That might not have been good. Maybe this stock clutch is not happy anymore. These are big tires. This may be the video where I've screwed up my clutch. Yeah, I don't like that. I hope you guys like this video, because I think I just trashed my clutch. I didn't expect that. There we go. Wheel spin. So there's a little wheel hop, and it's gone. I might have ridden that just too much. I have a feeling, because it's warm out, it's like the right temperature to get maximum traction, and this pavement's pretty gritty. I was trying too hard to show you guys that instead of just letting it out, so hopefully it's all right. That kind of sucks. So I'm gonna come out here, it's a little bit smoother pavement, and let it out again. I got some wheel hop on that one, okay. Yeah, clutch is fine. Yeah, that's annoying. All right, well guys, I think the tutorial is helpful, and I think this needs to go to show, honestly, how much you need to care for your cars. Even though the Viper is a tough old beast, there are certain things like that that come into play. I've never actually done that in this car, and I'm looking, I'm like, I'm not spinning the tires. That's the clutch starting to slip. So I bring that up because most of you out there that are watching this video that are really getting some good advice and helpful tips out of it, you probably drive your car on the street and you're probably just learning. And I did these videos like the other day when I tried to put it into first gear without the clutch and it started grinding the synchros and the car creep. That's obviously very bad to your car, but I did it because I want you guys to understand how transmission works. And this thing's fresh enough that I didn't think I'd hurt it that much, and I didn't. But I just spun my clutch, like slipped my clutch. That's not that great. So that's a good example also of if you're taking off and you don't have your foot totally off the pedal and you're spinning your clutch, well, then you can roast your clutch. And that's how you typically see rich guys in like a Lamborghini Diablo or a Countach back in the day demolish their clutches, because they've got really tall first gears and really tall reverses, and they've got the clutches in like a Countach are about the same size as a small block Chevy, but they're more delicate and you gotta slip the clutch more to be moving. And I've seen them do it. People are just slipping the clutch too much. So that's the balance of getting the clutch out and going. And that's why when you're drag racing, hole shotting, autocross, whatever, that's a delicate balance. The road I was just in had a lot of traction. The tires that are on this Viper now are wider than they originally were and stickier than they originally were, but that's the stock clutch. And it's the stock clutch because I just drive it on the street. So keep all that in mind. Don't go out and obliterate your car because you're trying to do something you don't need to do. I hope this is helpful. I'll show you guys a little bit more about slow speed maneuvering, because some young people out there, I'm sure if you guys are first driving stick, you've gotten into that weird degrading oscillation where you're in a parking lot and you're trying to take off in first gear and the car gets to go, but then it starts like doing this bucking thing that gets worse. It's like, and what that is you've hit a degrading natural frequency of your drivetrain. So it bounces and then bounces the other way, bounces, torque, let the opposite torque the opposite torque. And to get away from that, you frankly potentially need to push your clutch back in and sort of coast and then generally slip it and accelerate out of there. This car can definitely start to do that buck because it's got a giant engine, it's got big sticky tires, and the engine is so big and nasty and the tires are so sticky that the drive line in between is kind of like a spring. The drive shafts, the drive shaft here, the half shafts to the wheels, the differential, any slop in the gears, that can make it start to bind and flex, and it'll go like that. And I'll dab the clutch, kind of get it into where it's just slipping or coasting for a minute, and then accelerate out. So if you guys are finding it, you young people, when you're first driving stick, that your car's bouncing a lot, well, it's not an automatic car. You have to drive around that. That's a natural characteristic of your car, whether it's new or it's kind of worn out like my Viper and it gets worse. As an example, when I changed the U-joints in the half shaft, they weren't making any horrible noises or anything, but I replaced them at like, I don't know, 85,000 miles. I got rid of a lot of that because it made the driveline have less lash in it. And it wouldn't do that natural frequency bounce thing as badly. So let's see here. I'm gonna turn off this road, show you guys that, and hope this was a helpful video. And let my poor clutch cool down while we're driving. God.
Everybody's gonna making fun of me. Ah, Casey, you're dumb. You slipped your clutch too much. You're stupid.
Give me a break. I'm trying to teach people, okay? This is how I normally drive. All right, so I'm slowing way down in first, okay? And I'm just gonna get going at idle speed in first with no gas. Okay, so here we are, we're at idle speed, right? The car is not bucking, it's pretty happy. But if I just accelerate a little and then let off, watch this. Yeah, see that? Boing, boing, boing. Okay, watch it do it again. Oh, it hates that. Oh, boing, 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 boing. And honestly, a car at idle, it's not really wanting to just accelerate. This is gonna be horrible. That wasn't so bad, okay. If I did a little bit left. The worst thing you can do if you're at idle in first gear is like pop the gas pedal and then let off, because it starts doing that, right? So even though I can be moving with the clutch fully out, let's do that. We're gonna do it again. I'm creeping in idle here, okay? Instead of accelerating by just pushing the gas, I would probably push the clutch in slightly and then take off like I normally would, if that makes sense. That way you avoid all that and it's just not a problem. All right, guys, that was kind of my little clutch examples today. The trolls will have a field day, and I hope you guys learned something and had a little bit of fun. I did. I am sweating my face and balls off right now. So anyway, I look forward to see you guys next time, and safe driving out there, okay? Be nice to your cars.
I hope you enjoyed today's video, and naturally that you will subscribe, but please click that bell so I can continue to bring you wholesome and entertaining automotive content. Also, a huge thanks to Avalon King ceramic coating. They're supporting this channel and making this all possible. But more importantly, I'm looking forward to use it on all of my vehicles, including my old dirt bike. Ceramic coating bonds directly to the surface of your paint, trim, and plastics to give a long-lasting shine that beats all waxes. It lasts for years and it's easy to maintain. I've got it on my Viper right now, and my car has never looked this good. So give them a try. Again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to see you next time.